First of all, congratulations, Nimal, for the 25 years. I remember the days you were teaching me marketing, so some of the beginnings. And I thought Erdly was around. I hope he's still around, so great to see you here too. We've been having some fascinating presentations from morning with regard to the future, the brands, the environment, and all the concerns we are having. And I thought it might be useful to take you inside the mind and heart and to see how the consumer of tomorrow, the audience of tomorrow, is going to respond with regard to what's happening. So the question I have for you is how to engage with tomorrow's audience. And thankfully the word with is there rather than how to engage tomorrow's audience. It's a two-way thing as we go on. It's a short presentation, and let me start with a short answer. And I think the answer is individualization. Or we heard some saying customization, personalization. And we talked a lot about segmentation all the time. I'm sorry to say, segmentation is going to be dead. Gone are the days we could look at any segment, even a smaller segment, and tailor a product offering, a communication strategy to that segment. So what's the answer? Why individualization? What's different about people? Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that we were not different all this time. We were. But now, people are aware about those differences. There's more awareness amongst ourselves as well as people around. So what are these differences we're talking about? So there's a few areas. There are millions of variables, by the way, but let me just offer a few. First is the generation aspect and the millennium myth. I would like to introduce myself to you as a 54-year-old millennial. If you really look at it, millennial is about your habits and attitudes, IT habits, how high-tech are you. How many of you look at your telephone, mobile phone, before you get off bed? Show of hands? Lots of us. And that's the first indication. And there's a study done and a questionnaire which I could share, which you can tell which generation you belong to. Secondly, what concerns us? We heard a lot about issues like environment. There's issues like the modern day slavery, poverty, victimization, marginalization. So what concerns each one of us? And that could be something which sits in our heart and mind. The next one is access to money and technology. You might have a Gen Y in some village in Sri Lanka who doesn't even have a mobile phone or even access to TV. So it's nothing to do with the age or anything. It's about access to technology and money. And then we talk about unique abilities. Again, psychological studies show that we have different unique abilities. Unique ability is a natural inclination. Some of us are quick starts. We get excited with new ideas. We want to get on with it. Some of us are fact finders. We would love to go and search and look for information. And the quick start will look at the fact finder and ask, what's wrong with you? How can you get so excited about information when I want to get on with things? And then you've got the third one, which is the implementer. Those who really want to get things done, get their hands dirty. And finally, the follow-throughs. And if you really analyze and get into the mind of someone, you could start targeting your messages based on what excites you. And next we have, under that, are we creative or logical? The creative person would want to have a creative message. The logical person would be more logical. Again, by the way, I'm not putting them into two boxes. There can be always a variant somewhere in this line where you might fit into. Then modalities. From the science of neuro-linguistic programming, we hear that some people prefer to see, who are visual, some are more auditory, some are more kinesthetic. So when you communicate, you'll say, okay, I really love that picture that you're showing me, and that's something to do with the heart. I feel good about it. Or someone else will say, okay, that sounds good. That rings a bell. And then you'll have others saying, I really like the picture you're drawing for me. That looks good. So can we start understanding the modalities? What is our preferred modality and start targeting? And next to that, we have the ego states. Transactional analysis talks about our three ego states, the parental, adult, and child. The parent wants to always control, victimize, whereas the adult is more rational, and the child is the victim. But again, we are not in one box. Sometimes we keep moving these stages throughout different situations in our life. Next, we talk about EQ and IQ. Do we think, act with our heart or the head? And that's quite straightforward. The 7 Intelligences by Howard Gardner, who says some of us are visual, mathematical, logical, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, spatial. And if you take the intelligences, again, what matters to us depends on those elements as well. And finally, not the last one, but not the least, is our values. The values we learn on our mother's lap. What drives us, and how those values are contaminated or enriched during the various experiences we have. And purpose. What is our bigger reason for living? And again, I've found through my research, by the way, I'm doing my thesis on purposefulness right now for my PhD, and I found that it's very few who even know the concept. Some think purpose is just a target. For me, it's a big reason. Why are we living on this earth? And putting all this together, you will have a trillion variants, and therefore you have to start individualizing. Now, how do you do that? So I'd like to explain the Google Maps live effect. As you know, in Google Maps, as you look at it, you see which road is blocked, which road is available, and then you make a decision. Millions of customers decide at every given moment what to do. And immediately you make that decision and act, the entire map changes. So when 7 billion people, 7 billion minds are thinking and acting at any given time, the playing field keeps changing. So therefore, we talked about big data. For me, it's obsolete. Very moment it happens, it's obsolete, it's gone. It's a new playing field all the time. So how do you start reacting to this kind of complex situation? I have a few ideas to share. Obviously, first one is to individualize the messages, as well as how do we learn about people. Then in customizing those channels, can we give options in channels? Can individuals customize and make their own product experience, own channel experience? And can those be adjusted based on their different moods, ego states, or unique abilities? And when these moods keep changing during the day, how does this keep getting customized? And of course, instant. How can we be as instant as possible? Instant responses, gamification, and all these things. But I think a very important concept I want to just leave for you is action research. Action research is a way of working, way of thinking, way of doing. How action research happens is you act, think in the moment. Can an entire organization be action research oriented? Can you absorb information, reflect on it, make decisions? Not only using heart and mind, also using AI and other facilities we have. But AI alone is not going to help. So I want to quickly finish off by saying a quick poetic quote which says, yesterday was history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So I think there is no tomorrow. It's all about being in the present. Thank you very much.